Hello guys, this is your friend and we are back with a new fanfic. Which is what if Naruto got banished and he revealed his heritage part 1. And if you enjoy this fanfic then please press the like button and subscribe to my channel for more fanfic like this. And now let's start the fanfic. It's the day of the third stage of the Chunin exams. The entire village is all abuzz, excited to see the matchups today. However, the first match that they were all watching had the audience on the edge of their seats. They all thought that it would be a one-sided fight, seeing as how the participants were Neji Hyuga, the prodigy of the Hyuga clan despite him being from the branch family, and Naruto Uzumaki, who everyone but a select few thought was the nine-tailed fox reincarnated, rather than being the jailer for said fox, the same brat that was the dead last at the academy, who was more concerned with playing pranks than train or pay attention in class. They did not expect the number 1 hyperactive knucklehead to be giving Neji so much trouble. He had just hit the stubborn blonde with his 8 trigrams, 64 palms technique, closing off all his chakra points, but here Naruto was, getting up. I never give up, I never go back on my word. I said I'd beat you for what you did to poor Hinata and show you that you can change your fate. Naruto shouted out. Hey Kurama, think I can get some help? I won't be able to beat this asshole without chakra. He asks the fox in his gut. Sure kid, but it will have to be the malice-filled chakra from me. We don't want to blow our cover. Bad enough you had to lock me back in the damn cage when the pervy old man checks the seal. Kurama, whoever on knows as the nine-tailed fox, replied to his host and friend. Yes, Naruto and Kurama are friends. Despite what people thought, due to the attack on the day of Naruto's birthday, Kurama was under influence of the Sharingan of a masked man that had ripped him out of his previous host and summoned in the middle of Konoha. He was actually a nice guy, unless you pissed him off, but that's normal for anyone. It was during the mission to Land of Waves, after Naruto was overtaken with rage when he thought Haku killed Sasuke. Naruto and Kurama had a nice long chat and came to an understanding. And over the past months, they became close enough that Naruto managed to open the cage confining the fox as well as how to close it if needed, point case when Jiraiya checked the seal. Anyway, back to the fight. Kurama pumped the malice-filled chakra through Naruto to open his chakra points so Naruto could go on to win the fight against Neji. As Neji laid there he was wondering how he could lose to this year's dead last, and if this guy was right. The words he said during their fight rang through his head. Unlike me, you're a genius. But he could hear the rowing ovation for Naruto's win as he was being taken to the hospital win of the stadium. Naruto on the other hand couldn't believe that they were actually cheering for him. He was finally being recognized for who he was and his accomplishments. What he didn't know is that someone recognized him and went to meet him on the way back to the competitor's box. Thanks for the help, Kurama. Man, it feels great to be cheered for. Finally feels like they're acknowledging me. Naruto said to Kurama while grinning like a loon. However, his smile vanished when he sensed someone following him, so he stopped, his hand making its way to his kunai holster on his leg. You can come out now, I know you're there. Easy, I'm just here to talk. A robbed figure came from around the corner with his hands up showing he meant no harm. So talk. I need to get up to the box so I can watch the fights, especially this next one to find out who I'll be facing in my next match. Naruto said in a tone that promised pain if he tried anything. Alright, I just wanted to talk to you since you remind me of your parents. The robed figure then was interrupted with a kunai to his throat, making the man gulp slightly. What did you say? My parents? You knew them. Who are they? I was told they died the night I was born but never told who they were. Naruto shouted. His eyes, while remained the sapphire blue, they now have fox-like slits in them, indicating he was trying to remain calm but was actually pissed off. This shocked the stranger. Seriously? You've never been told, even though you are the spitting image of your father that anyone should be able to tell. I mean you look just like Minato. Again he was interrupted. The fourth Hokage was my dad. And he sealed the fox inside me. Why? He shouted, pushing the kunai farther into the stranger's neck, starting to draw blood. Yes, he was your father, but he sealed the fox into because he couldn't ask another family to make the sacrifice if he himself wasn't willing to do so, even though I'm sure Kushina tried to make him reconsider it and seal it back into her. He said nervously as knife then went even slightly deeper as the Jinchuriki interrupted him again, his eyes now blood red. Naruto was now obviously pissed. Everyone knew of the Red Death. She was almost as famous as the fourth Hokage, or otherwise known as the Yellow Flash. How could no one tell him that was related to two of the biggest badasses that the village ever produced, just short of the legendary Sannin? But what truly pissed him off was what this stranger said, that she was the former host to Kurama, and said Fox knew he'd be getting an earful shortly. However, Naruto addressed the robed stranger in front of him in a deadly calm tone that promised death. Who are you? How did you know my parents? The robed figure was now sweating heavily. I am an old adversary of your parents. I faced them both in battle but later gained their friendship over the years. However, I can't tell you who I am. I'm wanted man, and if it got out that I was even here, I'd be dead before I got back to my seat. He then sighed as the kunai left his throat. You'd better be telling the truth. I'm gonna go see old man Hokage and get some answers right now. If I find that you're lying, I'll kill you. Naruto said in the same calm tone as he turned and ran off the cage box while screaming at Kurama on the way. Why didn't you tell me that my own mother was your former host and it was my dad that sealed you into me? You know damn well I've been wanting to know about my parents since I was 6. Kurama sighed. I didn't want to say anything, because I felt guilty. I'm the reason you've had such a hard life, and not just by being sealed into you. I told you about how I was being controlled, right? Well, when I came to, I was already chained down by your mother's adamantine sealing chains, while one of my claws was lodged in both your parents' guts as they were about to seal me into you. I'm sorry. Naruto stopped running hearing this. Sure, he knew that this father would have died due to the seal he used, and he knew Jinchuriki usually die if the tailed beast were exacted from their bodies, but he also found out about the Uzumaki longevity, and there was a chance they could survive the extraction should they get a massive chakra infusion and medical attention. But to hear that his mom could have survived if it wasn't for the Genjutsu-controlled Kurama, he swore to kill the bastard whoever was responsible. When he came to his senses, he was standing outside of the cage box's doors. Naruto, not in the mood for being polite or proper, kicks the door in and stomps over the Hokage, who was telling the Anbu to stand down, seeing that it was Naruto. Naruto, my boy, what are you doing here? You should be in the competitor's box. Lord Hokage, I suggest we go talk in private unless you wish village secrets being revealed to Lord Cage. Naruto said, eerily calm, even though his eyes were still blood red. This got Hiruzen Sarutobi's attention. Naruto never addressing so formally, much less in such a gravely calm but eerie tone. He nodded and followed Naruto out to the hall and away from the door. Now then, what is that about? He said in a calm, but curious voice. You know damn well what this is about, old man. Why didn't you tell me about my parents, especially since I am apparently the spitting image of my father and his face is seen by anyone who sees the Hokage monument? Question mark. Or that my mom was the former Jinchuriki of the Fox and the Red Death. I asked you once a month for half of my life. You know damn well how important it was to me. And don't tell me it was to protect me. I know they were badasses that probably had many enemies that would have to take revenge on them through me. Why did you lie to me? Naruto started to say calmly but ended up shouting at the top of his lungs with tears rolling down his face. How did you find out? The Hokage asked in a shocked tone, only to realize that was the wrong response at that moment by the heated glare he was getting from the young man in front of him. Naruto's voice turned demonic, looking like he was ready to kill the old Hokage in front of him. That's the first thing you have to say. Listen to me, Naruto. I didn't tell for the reason you guessed, it was to protect you. If the Stone or Cloud, or even Mist learned that Minato and Kushina had a child, there would no end to the assassination and kidnapping attempts. Your own mother was kidnapped for her heritage alone as an Uzumaki. Had it not been for your father, she wouldn't have been found. Naruto was seething. I said, don't give me that shit. Who else knows? Your sensei, Kakashi, was Minato's student, and was an Anbu assigned to guard Kushina during her pregnancy, and Jiraiya, who was your father's teacher, and your godfather, since they got your name from his first book, Tales of a Gutsy Ninja, replied the old monkey, knowing full well that he should speak the truth right now, not knowing he just made things a lot worse. That old pervert is my godfather. Where the hell was he my entire life? I don't care if he is a spymaster for the village. He could have come to visit me on occasion. Sent me gifts. Something to let me know I wasn't alone. Naruto roared. He was absolutely livid. He was going to castrate the perverted sage the next time he saw him. And Kakashi-sensei knew. And he did nothing. He didn't tell me. He still chose to train Sasuke this past month instead of his former sensei's son. I'm going to burn those precious books of his. Hiruzen now knew he had to calm the blonde Jinchuriki down, seeing the red chakra starting bubble forth and surround the boy. Where do you think Gamma came from, or the money you received up till you became a genin? That was all Jiraiya. As for Kakashi, he was one of the Anbu tasked with protecting you. However, he couldn't always be duty. As to why he didn't tell you, I ordered him not to. I was going to tell you when you turned 16 or became a chunin, which going by your match you have a good chance at becoming. And why he didn't choose to train you was to prepare Sasuke for Gaara, and he is the only person alive who can train him how to use the Sharingan. This seemed to calm the young man down at least a little. The chakra cloak dissipated and his eyes revert to his sapphire blue eyes, even though they retained the fox-like slit pupils. I'm assuming why the old pervert didn't tell me who he really was because of the same reason, you ordered him not to. Naruto replied, now trying to hold back tears. Yes, though he argued at great length many times, saying that I was being cruel, that Minato and Kushina would be ashamed and disappointed in me for not telling you when you first asked. The Hokage replied solemnly. Fine. I'll be going now, Lord Hokage. The blonde said as he turned around and started walking out of the stadium, not noticed the hurt look on Hiruzen's face. I can't believe he didn't tell me. And after all the years I considered him to be my grandfather, he said to himself. Kurama knew now was not the time to talk to Naruto unless he did something stupid. However, the fox noticed the genjutsu being cast throughout the stadium and instantly broke it before Naruto even noticed it. Naruto didn't even notice the mayhem around him as he walked to his place and quickly left a letter and his headband on his bed for whoever came looking for him, if any did at all. He then noticed the battle going on outside, but he didn't care. This village can burn for all I care. He thought as he packed what few belongings he had in his backpack and changed out of his kill me now orange jumpsuit, knowing it would identify him while he was leaving, into black Anbu pants, black ninja sandals, and a sleeveless black hooded vest with a black face mask like Kakashi wore all the time. He threw the hood over his head to attempt to hide his yellow hair and walked out of his place and started leaping across rooftops toward the gate that wasn't being currently attacked and disabled anyone who got in his way, leaf ninja or not. He stopped at the gate and looked back at the village. Goodbye, Ayame, old man Tenchi, Iruka sensei. I'll miss you all. I hope you all survive this so may meet again, should I decide to come back. He said solemnly as he turned and leapt off into the forest. Meanwhile, the mentioned people stopped and looked up at the sky, feeling something was wrong but were too busy either evacuating or directing the evacuation to pay too much attention to that feeling, the only thought going through their mind. Please be careful and safe, Naruto. We find Naruto in a cave camping out the night after he left the village. They should figure out that I'm gone by tomorrow if they don't think I died during the invasion. He said, looking up at the sky from within the cave. I wouldn't count on them just writing you off as a dead kid. That Kakashi knows about the healing ability I give you on top of your Uzumaki genetics. We should get moving. But where are we going? Kurama asked curiously. There weren't a lot of places he could go that the leaf wouldn't go looking right away. Well, I know that I shouldn't, but I'd really like to Old Man Tazuna, Inari, and Tsunami again, not to mention pay my respects to Haku and Zabuza. I just hope I can trust them to keep quiet for a while. I need to get supplies since I did leave in a hurry. The blonde responded, knowing that the wave would probably be the first place they'd look for him, seeing how that is the only place he's been before and that treated him well. You're right, you shouldn't, but they are the only people that will likely help you once you reveal yourself to them and have the biggest chance of keeping quiet. Naruto nods, gets up and stretches. Alright, let's go, and jumps through the trees towards to wave. Back at the leaf. As the sun was setting, news of the death of third Hokage was spreading like wildfire and everyone was making preparations for the funeral of all those that had fallen during the invasion. However, there were a few looking for the people that were unaccounted for among the bodies. Among the search party were the remainder of Team 7, Kakashi Hatake, Sakura Haruno, and Sasuke Uchiha, and Jiraiya, the self-proclaimed super pervert. Where is that idiot Naruto? Sakura asked in her unnaturally loud voice. Who knows, he's probably hiding in a corner like the loser he is. Sasuke said in his arrogant tone. That's enough, Sasuke. You know Naruto wouldn't hide while people were in need. Kakashi reprimanded, and as to where he is, I don't know. I suppose we should check his usual spots. So spread out, if you find anything, use your radios. Sakura and Sasuke went off in separate directions, even though anyone could tell that Sakura wanted to follow Sasuke but knew she'd get a scolding later, and she was secretly worried about her blonde teammate. However, when Kakashi was about to go off, Jiraiya stopped him. Hold on a moment, Kakashi. The Anbu that were guarding Sensei said that Naruto came to see him after his victory against that Neji kid in a really bad mood, saying something about needing to talk to him about village secrets. You don't think Naruto learned some of the secrets that he shouldn't yet? Which secrets are you talking about? The only ones he doesn't know is his parents. Oh God. Kakashi shudders to realize the implications. If he found out about them after all this time, especially after him asking monthly, he'd lose it. The Toad Sage nodded. Question is, what would he do once Sensei told him everything in an attempt to calm him down? I have no idea, we should pick up the pace. Kakashi said hastily. Agreed. I'll go search his place. Hand me a radio to contact you. Jiraiya said, catching the radio. Channel 3 for the two of us, we don't need Emo and Banshee to learn about this. Right, but do you have to call my students those names? The copy ninja sighed. They haven't shown me that they can be anything else, the Sannin said with a shrug, then headed towards Naruto's apartment. Not realizing that Naruto was gone and had almost full day's head start and was very angry. 30 minutes later, Jiraiya arrives at Naruto's apartment, immediately getting a sense of dread seeing his door open and lights off. He runs in and sees the place tossed. Naruto, are you here? He then radios Kakashi, get over here now. Naruto's not here. And with that, Kakashi appears via the body flicker technique. This is bad, he said, looking around only to immediately notices Naruto's headband over an envelope. Jiraiya, it's worse than we thought. Seeing what Kakashi was looking at, he picks up the headband and opens the envelope, and starts reading the letter. To whoever finds this, I have left this village of lies and hypocrites. How could you praise and revere the fourth Hokage and curse, shun and beat his son? Or be the student of my father, be a teacher and not even drop any tips, or at the very least teach me something more than how to walk up a damn tree? Or even my own godfather, who had a legitimate reason for being away and took care of me indirectly. While I am grateful for that, to act like I'm just another brat and immediately refuse to train me until I appeal to his perverted nature that he agreed to teach me. That said, he has taught me more than anyone else, for that I say thank you, and that if he were to wish to talk, he is welcome to contact me via Messenger Toad. Now to the village, don't try to find me. You have disgraced my father, the Yellow Flash, Minato Namikaze, and my mother, the Red Death, Kushina Uzumaki. You are not worthy of my loyalty. To the people whom I cherish above all others, Iruka-sensei, I'm sorry, I want you to have your headband back, Ayame and Tuki Ichiraku, thank you for feeding me, even when I didn't have the money to pay. You even treated me like family, hell you were the closest thing I had to family. I will miss you the most. Should Jiraiya find me and wish me to continue to train me, I will ask to send messenger toads to the three of you. To Kakashi Hayate, have fun with the last Uchiha, and the pink-haired Banshee. I can imagine your shocked face right now. Yes, I am over Haruno. Not once has been even remotely nice to me. All she has done is beat me, yell at me, when all I was to her was kind. Yes, I may have been annoying asking her out so often, but I did so to try to cheer up when she gets rejected from the gay duck butt. To Hiruzen Sarutobi, you may have been a grandfather to me, but that ended when I found you lied to me about not knowing who my parents were and ordering everyone to not tell me regardless if it was to protect me. You do not have the right to contact me. And if you think Anbu can find me, think again. You know full well that I can outrun them and anyone else you send after me. To the council. You do not own me, I may be the Jinchuriki of the nine-tailed fox, but I am a human being, not some property, none of my kind are. Your newest enemy, Naruto Uzumaki Namikaze. Both Jiraiya and Kakashi paled. Not only did he know who his parents were but they hid that they knew. Jiraiya, however, was relieved that Naruto would still be willing to talk to him. Kakashi knew that he had at least half a day's head start and could be anywhere by now with his speed, plus with his stealth skills from his pranks he could hide his scent very well from ninja hounds. Even if they did try, the only thing he left untouched in the apartment was his headband and the letter. However, he could smell that he sanitized the headband to erase his scent somehow, leaving the letter. Even traces of his orange jumpsuit could be found in a smoldering pile in the corner. What do we do now? If it gets out that he has left the village, he'll be hunted relentlessly. Kakashi asked sullenly, regretting that he didn't teach his sensei's son more. We tell the council he killed by the enemy during the invasion. We show this letter to only the three he mentioned and make them swear to secrecy. However, I will go look for him and see if I can't talk some sense into him. However, I won't hold my breath. He's made it clear in this letter that he hates the village minus the people he spoke fondly of, people I have to thank for taking care of him while I was fulfilling my role as spymaster to the village. He says seriously and looks at Kakashi. Does he have any allies outside of the village? Kakashi thought for a second. I can only think of one place. The Land of Waves. It was our first mission outside of the village. AC rank turned A tyrant by the name of Gato, from Gato Industries. Jiraiya cut him off. Yes, I remember hearing about that, but that doesn't explain why they would be his allies. As I was gonna say, he gave the people hope, something they lost after their previous hero, Kaiza, was publicly executed. Inari, the bridge builder's grandson, was the most affected. It is because of Naruto that Inari was able to gather the villagers to build to push back Gato's thugs, with our help obviously, or rather Naruto's help. I merely added support, but it was Naruto was the spark of hope. He even got through to Zabuza, an employee of Gato's, who ended up getting betrayed by his employer. I ended up killing Zabuza's apprentice that same day, which allowed Naruto to get through to the Demon of Mist. In a fit of angst rage, it appears Naruto made friends with Haku before the fight as well, Kakashi said with both sadness and pride. That young man seems to have the power to befriend just about anyone. I see now, so the people of Wave would see him as a hero and ally, said the now understanding Sanin. Very well, I send a toad there before I go in person. In the meantime, I must go talk to this Iruka, and the Ichirakus. They need to know. Kakashi nods and changes frequencies. Team 7, come to Naruto's house. I have something to tell you. He said in a solemn tone, making sure that it wasn't good news. What is it, Kakashi-sensei? Why do you sound so sad? Sakura said. Kakashi's sweat dropped. Seriously. And she was the smartest in her class. Just get here. I'll tell you both when you get here. Jiraiya nodded and body flickered away with the letter and the headband a few minutes before Sasuke and Sakura showed up. Sakura gasped and put her hands over her mouth. Sasuke looked impassive as always, but internally was shocked seeing the state of the place. Sensei, where? Sakura started, only to see traces of Naruto's orange jumpsuit burned in the corner. Sakura, Sasuke, Naruto was killed by the enemy. The copy ninja said, picking up the orange remnants. Sakura broke down crying. She may not have liked the blonde knucklehead, but he was her teammate and saved her life twice, even if she wouldn't admit it at the time. Sasuke, on the other hand, was seething. Naruto was a lot like him and knew loneliness, and saw the blonde as a worthy rival, not that he'd admit it aloud to anyone else. He was so angry that the curse mark Orochimaru gave him was slowly activating. Kakashi says this. Sasuke, calm down. I get that we just lost Naruto, but don't let give in to your rage and the curse mark. Sasuke nodded and the mark receded. What do we do now? Said the last Uchiha, asked, still angry. We let the council know so we can include Naruto into the funeral tomorrow. You let your other classmates know. I will go to the council. Kakashi ordered and received a, yes sensei, with his remaining students running to tell their friends. Naruto, please forgive me if we ever meet again. He thought to himself as he made his way to the council's chambers, knowing this wasn't going to end well. Meanwhile, with Jiraiya, Jiraiya walked into Ichiraku Ramen, where he found Iruka conveniently having supper. Well, this makes my job easier. Iruka looked up from his bowl. Lord Jiraiya, what are you doing here? What do you mean your job? Said the confused Chunin. Welcome Lord Jiraiya, what can we get you today? Tuki asked, curious as well but remained professional. Ayame on the other hand looked nervous. Why is Jiraiya here? Where is Naruto? She thought, fearing for the boy she thought of as a brother. I will have a miso ramen with pork. I will inform you as to why I am here over a bowl. However, what is said stays within these walls. Jiraiya said in a very serious tone, letting them know he meant business. A moment later, Tuki handed the Toad Sage his order. Here you go, now can you tell us what is going on and where Naruto is? Asked the ramen chef, having figured it must have something to do with Naruto. Very well, but as I said, what is said doesn't leave these walls, nor will be repeated to anyone else. Am I clear? Once he got nods from the three in the room, he sighed and continued. Very well, Naruto has left the village. He found out about his heritage and didn't take it well after being lied to by the Hokage half his life. He wished for you to have this back, Iruka, and that loves the three of you very much. He said and pulled out the letter. This will explain it all. Please read it quickly. By now Sakura and Sasuke will be spreading the official word that Kakashi and I will be reporting to the council, which is he was killed in the attack. Now this shocked Iruka and the Ichirakus to hear this, but quickly read the letter with varying responses. Iruka was shocked that he didn't realize it. The resemblance to the fourth and Naruto was uncanny minus the whisker marks. Ayame was crying. She vaguely remembered Kushina, but her father did, and he looked furious. He never agreed with Hiruzen not telling the boy he saw as a son about his parents, especially since his mother was his best customer and any idiot should have been able to see the resemblance to Minato. He didn't need to be told to figure who his parents were, not with the boy's insatiable hungry for ramen, his verbal tic, the blonde hair, blue eyes. All were signs of Naruto being Kushina and Minato's child. Tuki, being the last to read it, handed the letter back to Jiraiya, who pocketed it. Do we know how he found out? Tuki said, trying to rein in his anger only to get a negative headshake. Any idea where he is headed at least? I don't feel like remaining here any longer. Ayame looked shocked to hear this, even though she agreed not wanting to be here. Only for Jiraiya to shoot down that idea. I'm afraid I cannot tell you. It would be suspicious if you were close shop and moved to where Naruto went, only to get an angry glare from the Ichiraku, making him think. These two obviously considered Naruto family just as he considered them to be the same. Very well, but if the civilian council asks, you are leaving out of grief for losing someone you considered family, we believe he's left for the land of waves. He said only to see recognition at the mention of his first mission out of the village. If you move there, I will guard you, free of charge. Just inform me tomorrow after the funeral. It will suspicious if leave beforehand, not mention looked at being disrespectful. He finished and getting nods from the Ichirakus. I know I cannot just up and leave myself, being a Chunin, however, please inform Naruto that he has my full support in whatever he decides to do. Iruka said sadly, knowing he can't go with the Ichirakus, knowing that they were leaving. Jiraiya nodded, got up from his seat, and paid for his meal and enough to set up an establishment in Wave, getting a shocked but grateful look from the father-daughter duo. Remember, as far as the village knows, Naruto is dead, burned to nothing but ash by the enemy. He said, getting nods from everyone there. Before he leaves, he turns his head looking back at the three there, and thank you, for taking care of my godson while I was away. And walks away to send the messenger Toad. Ayame, start preparing our supplies and necessities. We're moving to the land of waves. Tsuki said in a stern voice, clearly hiding his anger at the village, getting an agreeable nod from his daughter as they begin closing up after Iruka had paid and left to prepare for the funeral. Needless to say that reactions to Naruto's death were varied. A majority of the council were afraid that the nine-tailed fox would return, while others were saddened by the blonde's death. Among the rookies, most were shocked and saddened to hear Naruto died, but the news hit Hinata hardest. The boy she loved had died before she could build up the courage to confess to him. It hit her so hard her father, sensei, and teammates feared for her health. She was still recovering from her near-death experience at the hands of Neji in the prelims of the Chunin exams and now had lost her inspiration and reason for living. Speaking of Neji, he was indecisive as to what to feel, but was the most worried about Hinata. If she died due to this news and her injuries he gave her, he'd never forgiven himself. The only ones that weren't sad were Sasuke and Kiba, both angry at the enemy. However, they all prepared for the funeral of all those who had died during the invasion tomorrow. With Naruto. As the morning sun was starting to stretch across the sky, Naruto arrived at the bridge only to be flabbergasted reading the name of the bridge. The Great Naruto Bridge. They named it after me. He said aloud, only earn a hearty laugh from his friend and tenant. You really are an idiot. Of course, they named it after you. It was you who lit the fire under that brat Inari's, saved that MILF Tsunami from being taken hostage, which lead the kid to round up the villagers to help drive back those thugs. However, you're going to have thought up an alias if you are going to stay here for any length of time. Kurama said, not knowing that Jiraiya and Kakashi falsified his death to keep the council off his trial. Well, yeah, but I didn't expect to have a bridge named after me. But yeah, you're right, I do need to think of an alias. He responded to his partner only to get distracted by a poof of smoke revealing a messenger Toad. Well, that was faster than expected, let's see what Pervy Sage has to say. He said, retrieving the scroll and Toad before jumping into a nearby tree for cover. Naruto. If this message finds you, then Kakashi's assumption was correct and you did take refuge in the land of waves. Now, before anything else, I want to apologize for not training you right away. However, it would have seemed suspicious if I agreed to train you right away, as you know I was not allowed to tell you about your parents and that I am your godfather. So I had to put on the act of being uninterested when I wanted nothing more than to train you. Even after I agreed to train you, I had to seem uninterested when I wanted to train you so much harder than I did. Should you agree to allow me to continue to train you, I'll make you into a ninja that your mother and father would be very proud of. Now, as far as the village is concerned, you were killed in the attack, so you don't have to worry about tracker ninja or anything like that. I'm assuming you have a new look that people wouldn't recognize and have realized by now that you will need an alias to go by. Now don't worry about Iruka and the Ichirakus. I told them everything and showed them your letter as well as returned your headband as you requested. You will be pleased to hear that the Ichirakus will be leaving the village and making their way to your location, and I have offered to guard them on their journey. So, with this information in mind, please respond as soon as possible with a meeting location. Should all go well, I will be there in 2 days' time with your surrogate family. Sincerely, your godfather, Jiraiya. Huh, so it was Kakashi and Pervy Sage that found the letter. I'm impressed they went the route of faking my death, not that anyone back in the village would miss me anyhow. The blonde thought. I don't know, that Hyuga girl seemed to like you, and Iruka is gonna miss you, and I am pleased that you will have support out here, even if it is the ramen people. And here I thought I could get you to eat something more than that every day. Kurama semi-joked at the end. Hey, ramen is the food of the gods, ya know. Naruto mentally shouted. Like mother like son. Kurama sighed. Kushina was just as bad when it came to ramen. Hell, I think you might be worse. That got Naruto's attention. Mom loved ramen too. He asked eagerly. Kurama facepalmed, realizing the buckle of worms he just opened. Yes, she did, probably the only thing ate, even more so while she was pregnant with you. I'll tell you more about her later. But right now you should get to Tazuna's place and make sure you can shack up and then reply to Jiraiya before they leave. Yeah, you're right, I just hope they are up at this hour. Naruto said as he jumped down and made his way to Tazuna's place. 30 minutes later, Naruto arrived at the old drunk bridge builder's place, pleased to hear likely Tsunami rattling around in the kitchen. He took a deep breath and knocked on the door, lowering his mask, not wanting to spook whoever answered the door. Inside the house, Tsunami was about to prepare breakfast so she would wake up her father and son, only to hear a knock at the door. Who could that be at this hour? She says as she makes her way to the door. When she opened the door, she was pleasantly surprised to see the village hero at her doorstep. Naruto, what are you doing here? She said with a beaming smile. Hey Tsunami, can I come in? I'll explain everything to everyone all at once if that's okay. Naruto said with this trademark smile. Yes, of course, come in. I'll go wake father and Inari. She responded. Thank you very much, he said as he walked in and took a seat at the familiar table, waiting for Tazuna and Inari. A few minutes later, and what sounded like a stampede coming down the stairs, Naruto. Inari came barreling downstairs and tackled Naruto out of his chair into a bone-crushing hug. Behind him were Tazuna and Tsunami. Easy there, kid, I haven't been gone that long, it's only been a few months. Naruto said, chuckling. Tazuna chuckled as well. Good to see you, kid, but you seem different. Where's your headband? However, when he finished that statement, the family felt the mood shift, and not for the better. That's why I'm here, Naruto said with his bangs covering his eyes. So he explained the situation leading to his departure from the Leaf. To say that they were shocked would be an understatement. However, Naruto finished with, I know this is a lot to ask out of the blue, but could you allow me and possibly my new sensei to stay here when he will be here a couple of days with some people I care about? I know I am already asking you for a lot, but the people he is traveling are ramen chefs. Is there a shop they could purchase? Now they were floored. Naruto made it seem like he was ready to move to Wave permanently, or at least long term. Well, yes, we still have the spare rooms upstairs. As for an available shop, home for your ramen friends, I think I can build them a place when they get here, ya know, so I can get specifics on what they are looking for and whatnot. Tazuna said, still getting over his shock. Naruto was beaming now and bowed. Thank you so much. Tazuna just waved him off. Don't worry about it. I don't know if you noticed, but you're a hero here. Doing something like putting you up for a while and bringing in a new business is nothing, kid. Yes, I noticed. Hard not to notice the bridge named after me. Naruto said deadpanned. Oh, and I'd appreciate if you kept quiet that I'm here. The village may not be after me, but that could change if they find out that I am indeed alive. Oh, of course, we'll just say you're a long-lost relative or something. Tsunami spoke up, understanding the trouble he'd be in and by extension them for hiding him. Thank you so much. I'll go unpack in the guest room and come back down. The blonde said quite happily. In the room, Naruto wrote his response to Jiraiya and gave it back to the toad, who instantly disappeared in a plume of smoke. Now to relax for a couple of days and work on an alias. Maybe I'll ask Tsunami and Tazuna about it after breakfast. It was midday. The skies were clouded over in thick rain clouds, a light rain falling from said clouds, making it seem like the heavens were crying for the fallen. The entire village was gathered in the graveyard, where multiple graves were being filled with coffins of both the brave shinobi and kunoichi, as well as the killed civilians that have been found since the invasion was quelled. Among them Iruka, Jiraiya, the Ichiraku family, Kakashi, and the surviving members of the now rookie 10. Even the gravely injured Hinata and Rock Lee were there, trying to hold in their sorrow for the death of Naruto and the loss of the third Hokage. One kunoichi, with purple hair, brown eyes, ruby red lips, hidden behind a cat Anbu mask, peaches and cream pale skin, with a toned body dressed in standard Anbu attire, was standing in front of Hayate Gecko's grave. This was Yugao Azuki, coded named Cat within the Anbu. She was, however, heavily considering leaving the Anbu and possibly leave Konoha behind. She had heard that the Ichiraku were leaving shortly after the funeral was completed and that Jiraiya had a student that needs a kenjutsu teacher, and she felt she should pass on what her deceased lover taught her. Maybe I should go with Jiraiya and the Ichiraku family. I have nothing left here. Hayate is gone, we have no Hokage to guard, and there is a high chance Danzo becoming the new Hokage. She thought to herself. Jiraiya was standing there with a small scroll in his hand that he received in the middle of the night from Naruto, with another scroll just smaller than the toad summoning contract as per Naruto's request via his message, looking exhausted, like he didn't get any sleep at all. Damn brat, he better appreciate this. He thought as he thought back to last night. Flashback. Jiraiya had just finished his long day, attending the council meeting and having to turn down being Hokage and being asked to find his former teammate, a lifelong crush, Tsunade Senju, and try to convince her to come back to the village to take the hat. He knew it was a long shot, but he knew he had to make the effort or they'd find someone like Danzo to take the hat, and that would not be good. He was just about to crawl into this futon when his messenger toad popped into his room via a poof of smoke. Reply from your student, sir. The toad said as he placed the message scroll in front of him, waiting for the toad sage to dismiss him. Thank you, you may go and get some rest. I'll call for you tomorrow morning. The perverted Sanin sighed and took the scroll and read it. Pervy sage, you were indeed correct that I came to wave. I am staying with Tazuna, his daughter Tsunami, and his grandson Inari. They have graciously said that you, the old man, and Ayame can stay with us till they can build a home restaurant for the Ichirakus. However, I must ask that when you arrive that you do not request me by name. If a young woman answers the door, ask for either Tsunami or Tazuna. By the time you get here I should have figured out my alias by then. However, I have things I wish for you to bring with you, things that are rightfully mine. I wish for my mother's sword, all the scrolls within my parents' house or wherever they are being stored, as well as my family's fortune. I'm sure Hiruzen kept all that safely hidden so those greedy counselors could have gotten hold of them. To ensure you don't have any issues I have including a couple of vials of my blood in case of blood seals. If you're wondering how I know about blood seals and seals in general, Kurama has taught me the basics of Fuinjutsu. Also, if at all possible I would like to find a kenjutsu trainer, as you have already surmised that I intend to use my mother's sword and make a name for myself. However, do not think that you are off the hook just yet, teaching me is just the first step in your redemption. You have 13 years to make up for. I hope you're ready to do so, or you will regret it. I expect you to keep my loved ones safe on the journey here. If they show up injured or worse, you can write off any chance of redemption. Naruto Uzumaki. He just sighed at this. Damn brat, those are some very high demands. It's gonna be damn near treason for getting the list of stuff of his. Sensei had it locked behind the Hokage vault, everything, only he knew the combination. To get it, I'm gonna have to sneak into the Hokage's office, crack the vault combination, even the scrolls he's asking for, using his blood as the least of the worry, but who knows what booby traps they put into place. I'm not worried about keeping the Ichirakus safe, but the Kenjutsu teacher is gonna be tricky to find. Jiraiya thought, knowing someone might be listening, but finishes aloud, well, I'll find my student a Kenjutsu master down the road. Jiraiya sighed as he felt movement outside his house. Little did he know that it was none other than Yugao who was passing by on her way home, hearing the poof of the summon and decided to check it out, however, decided not to eavesdrop anymore and went on her way to grieve for the lose of Hayate and prepare for the funeral tomorrow. Jiraiya, having sensed that the presence was gone, got up and used his skills as spymaster to acquire everything Naruto had demanded, even outsmarting the Anbu guarding the Hokage vaults, as well as the Namikaze household for his mother's famous sword, and sealed them all in a medium-sized scroll. End flashback. After the funeral concluded, Sasuke and Sakura both walked up to Jiraiya. Master Jiraiya, can we talk to you for a moment? Sakura asked as politely as she could. Ah, you are the genin from yesterday. Jiraiya said, remembering how he saved them from Gaara and Shukaku. Yes, we wanted to thank you for saving our lives. If you hadn't shown up when you did, Gaara would have crushed me and killed Sasuke, so thank you very much, Sakura said with a bow of gratitude while Sasuke looked pissed off at the fact he couldn't defeat Gaara on his own. I should have been able to beat that freak on my own. How can I kill Itachi if I can't even hold up against someone like Gaara? Sasuke brooded. Think nothing of it, I'm just glad I made it time. I was worried when I heard you guys were sent to fight against Gaara. The Toad Sanin said, expressing his concern. Whose bright idea was it to send them against a Jinchuriki anyway? He thought out of spite. Flashback. Jiraiya sighed as he and his summon defeated the three-headed snake summon as he looked over to Ibiki Morino shouting, I'm going to check on the arena. I'm worried about the Hokage and Chunin hopefuls. With that, Jiraiya body flickered to the stadium, seeing a transparent purple barrier when he arrived. Damn, a barrier huh? He said to himself, but getting nods from the Anbu on the outside of the barrier as confirmation. He turned and asked, what happened to the genin participating in the tournament? We don't know, you'd have to ask Kakashi or one of the Jonin fighting in the stadium below. All we know is that the Uzumaki came to talk to the Hokage and was very pissed off. We were going to detain him when Lord Hokage signaled for us to stand down and left with the boy. We don't know where he went after that, but the Hokage seemed troubled and upset after he returned, one of the Anbu replied. The Toad Sage just sighs and goes to find Kakashi, which was easy enough having heard the sound of the Chidori or lightning blade activate. Kakashi, where are the kids? He said as Kakashi ran his lightning-covered fist through a sound ninja. I sent Shikamaru, Sasuke, and Sakura after Gaara and his teammates along with Pakun. I just hope they're alright. You sent 3 genin, 2 of which are probably tired from their fights, after a possible Jinchuriki and his team with just your personal summon as backup. Jiraiya exclaimed, clearing, wondering what was going through Kakashi's mind at the time. I know it was risky, but they were the only ones we could spare. The rest of the enemies around here are high Chunin and Jonin class opponents. I sent them after what I figured to be the safer adversaries. After all, I trained Sasuke specifically for his fight against Gaara. Kakashi said as he killed another sound ninja. Jiraiya sighed, frowning at that logic, and realized. Alright, I'll go back them up, but you should know that Naruto is missing. He said, deflecting a thrown kunai. Yeah, I know, but I can't go look for him right now, I'm tied down here at the moment. If we survive this, we can search for him together, so please, go help my team. If Gaara really is a Jinchuriki, then they are outmatched. Kakashi said with worry evident in his voice for both Naruto and the genin he sent after Gaara, but kept focused on the enemy around him as he knocked a sand ninja out. Jiraiya nodded and bounded off towards the explosions in the forest. You brats better be alright. Especially you Naruto, wherever you are. He thought. On the way he saw Asuma helping Shikamaru against a group of sound ninja, getting info from Shikamaru saying he stayed back as a decoy when they detected they were being pursued. Jiraiya nodded and continued after the remainder of the team, seeing Shino and his father against a tree. Shino's father saying that his son chased after Shikamaru and the others after seeing Kankuro flee the stadium, claiming he wanted his fight against the Sand Genin, who laid no to fare away knocked out. He sighed and continued to chase after them, only to see the one-tailed raccoon raise up from the forest. Damn it, I hope those kids are still alive. To push a Jinchuriki this far, they are in trouble. He cursed as he ran through the signs to summon the chief toad, Gamabunta. Jiraiya, why have you? Gamabunta started to ask before he saw Shukaku. If you summon to help you deal with Shukaku the sand spirit, you're on your own. He finished preparing to poof back to Mount Myoboku. Please wait, Bunta. There are genin here bravely fighting against the one-tails. If we don't stop it, they will die. Jiraiya pleaded. The boss of the toads sighed and took a drag from his pipe. Very well, but you'd better have sake ready next time you summon me. Thank you. Now let's save those genin. Jiraiya proclaimed as he jumped off Gamabunta's head and approached Sasuke only to see Sakura being bounded to a tree by sand. What happened here? Sasuke gritted his teeth. I've been fighting this freak Gaara for a while now, but Sakura and a dog arrived, catching his attention, only to grab Sakura with that sand of bound her to the tree. It's getting harder and tighter every passing moment and will eventually crush her unless I beat him, but I'm out chakra and can't do anything. He finished punching the branch he was standing on out of frustration that he was so weak and couldn't finish off Gaara on his own. However, Jiraiya mistook this as he was frustrated that he couldn't save his teammate. Don't worry, I'll save her for you, get back to a safe distance. He said, jumping back onto Bunta's head, who was facing off against the now awake Shukaku. Jiraiya, we need to wake up the kid on Shukaku's head. The little fool used the play possum jutsu and gave up control to the one tail. The chief toad shouted. Alright, ready some oil, we need to distract the demon before I can give that kid a good smack. Jiraiya planned on the fly, knowing the one tail was just one big sand chakra beast, and with enough heat, they could hopefully slow him down and cause enough pain to distract him enough to wake up Gaara. As Gamabunta puffed his cheeks, filling his mouth with toad oil, Jiraiya was running through the hand signs for a powerful fire jutsu, and both call out their combination jutsu. Fire style. Toad flame bomb. The attack hits and causes the sand spirit to scream and thrash around in pain, causing the giant toad to yell out, now Jiraiya. The super pervert already jumping off the boss toad's head, cocking his fist back ready to deliver a punch on the sleeping Jinchuriki only to miss and land a foot away, causing him to curse. Get off my head, you human! Shikaku yelled, still recovering from the attack, and continued to thrash around. Jiraiya being used just thrashing when Gamabunta wasn't pleased with him was more than able to stay on with the application of chakra to his sandals, reading another attack on the sleeping Gaara. This punch landed, waking up a stunned Gaara and a despairing Shukaku. No, I just got here, the one-tail raccoon said as he disintegrated into the sand, causing Jiraiya and Gaara to start falling to the ground. Jiraiya flipped midair, landing on his feet, while Gaara crashed against it, completely exhausted. It was then that Temari and Kankuro showed up, standing in front of Gaara protectively. Please, don't harm our brother any farther. Temari pleaded. This confused Gaara greatly. Why are you protecting me? I lost, I failed to prove my existence. He said, holding his head in pain. Because Gaara, despite all you've done, you're still our brother, and we just want the old you back before father ordered that assassination on you. Kankuro said, not looking back at Gaara, keeping a tired, but fierce glare trailed on the Sanin in front of them. He's right, we love you, Gaara. We just want to be a family again. Tamari said, not looking back as well, but Gaara noticed the tears that dampened the soil under her. Enough. Let's go home. I'm tired of fighting, Gaara said weakly as he tried to get up but couldn't muster the strength. What makes you think I'm just going to let you leave after betraying the leaf like this? Jiraiya asked sternly. We'll give you a full confession once we get home, but we'd appreciate it if you let us go home to confront our father first so can get more details for the confession. Tamari said with a stern but hidden pleading look, one Jiraiya caught and sighed at. Very well, I'll give you a week, send it to the Hokage, I'll be sure to tell him of our agreement. The old pervert replied. Thank you, Lord Jiraiya. Tamari said, dropping her guard, while Kankuro was helping Gaara up. Sasuke dropped down with an unconscious Sakura on his back. Why are you just letting them go? Said the enraged Uchiha. Enough, we need to get back to the leaf and help there. Naruto's been missing since his victory over Neji. Come on, Jiraiya said in a commanding tone. Hearing that Naruto was missing shocked him enough to go back to the leaf carrying a now awake Sakura, who was pretending to still be knocked out, only failing due to a noticeable blush on her face, one Jiraiya caught and chose to say nothing about. End flashback. After finishing his trip down memory lane, Sasuke and Sakura left for once, going their separate ways without Sakura pestering Sasuke for a date, knowing it wasn't right on a day like today. Jiraiya was about to go with the Ichiraku family but was stopped by Yugao. Lord Jiraiya, might I have a word with you? She asks. The Sannin just sighs and nods while thinking, if these delays keep happening we're gonna be late getting to the land of waves to meet Naruto. I would like to accompany you to escorting the ramen stand owners. She asked bluntly. Do you have permission from the council? Surely can't afford to lose a capable ninja like yourself for any period of time after the losses we took, he replied, knowing she was Anbu, likely a captain too. I put in a request for a month's leave of duty to properly mourn for someone close to me. She replied, her voice carrying the sound of grief, sadness, and loss. Jiraiya inwardly groans. Before I confirm or deny your request, why do you wish to come with me? Sounding suspicious but already figuring out that it was her outside his window last night. I overheard you were going to meet a student of yours in Wave, and that he was searching for a Kenjutsu teacher. I wish to pass on what I've learned, or at least what I can pass on during my leave. She said, knowing full well she was caught. All right, but this is on you if you get into trouble with the council. But you'll need to know that my student is very secretive about his identity, so I'd appreciate it if you didn't report anything, he said a little too kindly. Yes, of course, I am off duty after all, she said, not withering under the pressure. Good. Get ready, we'll be on the move a lot. After we meet my student and drop off the Ichiraku family, I have to go find Tsunade, and will likely require help locating and convincing her to come back. He said firmly, and turning to make his way over to Naruto's surrogate family to let them know of the addition to their travel party. After explaining it to them, they were obviously cautious about an Anbu joining them. Are you sure this is a good idea? Even if off duty, learning that he's alive could cause major issues. Ayame asked in a hushed tone in case someone was listening in. It's better than denying her, it will look suspicious if we did. He should have come up with his alias and changed his appearance by the time we get there, the Toad Sage replied in an equally hushed tone. Tuki nodded, not liking this one bit but knew the Sannin was right. Jiraiya then spoke up once again. Besides, he's looking for a Kenjutsu teacher, she learned and practiced with the best swordsman the leaf has to offer. That, and I feel that once she's seeing that he asked for, she'll understand everything. I have it in good standing that she was against it all and was one of the few that was assigned to guard him, and knows of his situation. He finishes, easing the doubts of the father and daughter combo. An hour later, Iruka was standing at the village gates to say his farewells to the ramen chiefs, though confused with a beautiful woman with purple hair was standing there as well. He could tell she wasn't a civilian, she had the aura of a skilled kunoichi, someone who has seen and dealt a lot of death. Sensing this, Yugao decided to attempt to ease his confusion and told him that she was taking some time off to grieve the loss of a loved one and was joining Jiraiya in his travels for a month. Iruka knew that wasn't the whole truth but decided to drop it. 15 minutes later, Jiraiya and the Ichirakus arrived. Ayame, Tuki, I wish you luck in your endeavors in Wave. I can only imagine that it will not be easy starting again in a new country. The academy teacher said. Thank you, Iruka, but I have a feeling we'll be just fine. From what I hear, they practically worship our favorite fallen knucklehead. Tuki chuckled slightly while attempting to sound sorrowful for the loss of Naruto. Ayame too gave a strained smile, genuinely sad that so few people paid respects to Naruto's portrait. The only ones who had paid their respects were his teammates, her and her father, Yugao, Shikamaru and Choji, Iruka, and of course poor Hinata who looked completely dead on this inside. She was however glad to hear he had been added to the monument stone like so many other fallen heroes of the Leaf. Even if she was sure that this damnable village will celebrate the death of the demon child, or Kyuubi reincarnated, and not see him as the hero has been his entire life for keeping the Ninetales locked away. Shall we go? We should be there in about 2 days barring any interruptions. I would hate to take longer than that. Jiraiya says, shuddering being later than that Naruto wasn't the most patient person in the world, more so when his precious people are involved. I just hope Naruto gets the message and comes up with his alias and new look before we arrive, he thought, not knowing that the Anbu traveling with them had a connection to Kushina and Naruto. Tuki and Ayame chuckle, knowing why Jiraiya shuddered while Yugao was confused and knew she was obviously missing a vital piece of intel, something she wasn't comfortable with but chose to keep quiet. What am I missing? And why do I feel it's all gonna change everything when I find out? Wave. We find Naruto mediating on the water, working on his chakra control since he knows that it's one of his shortcomings. Kurama staying quiet but was thinking about his partner Alias. However, Naruto was brought out of his meditation, the sound of the messenger frog appearing saying, urgent message from Jiraiya. There is a new development. Naruto groans and walks over to the barge. What is it now? He asked and takes the scroll. Naruto, I have everything you requested, but it wasn't easy to obtain, even with my infiltration skills. Whoever they choose to be the next Hokage will very likely notice the missing scrolls with the jutsu and funds. As for the Kenjutsu teacher, I have found you one, however, she is an Anbu on leave. She goes by Cat. I don't know if you are aware of her or not, but I have warned her that you value your privacy, so you'd best come up with that alias before we arrive and find a way to change your appearance beyond clothes. We will be on time barring any trouble on the road. However, I will not be able to stay in Wave to train you. The council has requested I find my old teammate, Tsunade Senju, and bring her back to be Hokage. I am not hopeful for my chances, so I may request your assistance. However, should you decline, I will understand. I will explain when I arrive as to why I am tasked with this retrieval mission. Ayame and Tuki give their best and are excited to see you. Iruka and Kakashi send their best and will miss you. Jiraiya. Naruto ponders. I wonder why they need a new Hokage, and why didn't the old man make the request himself? And Kat being my Kenjutsu sensei. That could be interesting, she was one that guarded me from the shadows, keeping people away from me. Wonder how she'll react to me being alive. I don't know, perhaps Hiruzen was injured and unable to continue his duties, he is an old man after all. I'm more surprised that you aren't upset that he can't train you right away unless you assist him and therefore the village. Kurama replied. Well, of course, I am upset. Once again someone is putting the village before me. However, I understand that they need leadership. I just hope it isn't too serious. The Ninetales knew the guilt would cripple him for a few days at the very least if the third got seriously hurt or killed after his verbal assault against the old man. Well, if something did happen, try not to blame yourself. He's a seasoned warrior, he can take care of himself. As for this cat Anbu, can we trust her? Her duty is to the Hokage and the village. He asked after trying to calm down his partner. Oh, her. Yeah, she'll be fine. She watched over me before the academy, even personally took me to the hospital a few times. Never saw her face, but if she's off duty then I will finally be able to meet her in person. Does someone have a new crush so soon? Kurama teases. What? No. She's like 7 years older than I am, if not older. That'd just be wrong. Naruto protested, getting a chuckle from the fox in his gut. Earning a mumbled, furry bastard, only to realize he should let Tazuna and Tsunami about the extra guest and that they are on their way, so he makes his way to Tazuna's place, getting polite waves from everyone, bashful blushes from the female population, even a couple shop owners handing him free bags of food, which he tried to turn down, but the shopkeepers were persistent and said it was a thank you for saving and freeing them from Gato and his thugs, so he relented and accepted the gifts. He even heard some of the bolder female population shout out to him, asking to marry them and give them his child. Wonder if this is how it feels for Sasuke. None of these girls like me for me, they like me because of my fame, he thought, knowing full well they were fangirls. After about 30 minutes of walking through the village, he finally reaches Tazuna's place and walks in. Normally he'd knock, but Tsunami said that he didn't need to bother. He was an honored guest and practically family as far as she and Inari were concerned. Hey Tsunami, you here? He calls out for the single mother. In the kitchen, Naruto. She replies. Of course, she's in the kitchen. If she isn't cleaning, or out shopping, she's in the kitchen preparing for meals or just baking. She really needs to take it easy and just relax sometimes. I swear she works herself too hard. Naruto thought as he made his way to the kitchen. I have some food from the villagers, where should I put them? He asks. Tsunami turns around, sees the gifts, and sighs. On the table, I'll put them away in a little bit. Thanks, but I can put them away, I don't want to feel like I'm just freeloading, you know. The blonde says plainly. Nonsense. You're our guest. Besides, I have a system as to where things go and can't find anything if it's not in the system. She said, finishing off half joking, earning a sweat drop from her guest. Okay, he said, giving up. By the way, your dad around? Jiraiya and the Ichirakus are going to be here in 2 days, assuming nothing happens on the way here. Oh, and I'm sorry, but seems one more person is going to tagging along with them. A Leaf Anbu, though they are supposed to be off duty, he said. Tsunami looked worried about the Anbu. She might not know much about the ninja society, but she knew Anbu either took rogue and or missing ninja back to their respective villages or kill them, depending on the situation. Are you sure it's safe for them to come here? What if they try to kill you or take you back? Relax, we just need to come up with an alias for me before they get here. I'll see about changing my hair color. Maybe go red, or black. Anyway, we have 2 days, we'll be fine. He said, giving her a reassuring smile. Alright, as long as you're sure, she said, still not sure. Trust me, it'll be okay. The blonde said, then asked, where's Tazuna? Tsunami realized she didn't answer that part of the question the first time, blushes slightly from embarrassment. Oh, I'm sorry, he's out working on that shop for your family. Alright, thanks. Did he say where? He asked, wanting to warn him about the Anbu. No, he said he wanted it to be a surprise to you and them. She said with a warm smile. Damn it. Alright, well, I'm gonna head about out to train. Be back for supper. The blonde said, leaving the house. Instead of going back through the village, he decides to stay close to the house and walk out 10 feet away from the house and mediate again. Hey Kurama, for the hair color, is it possible you to change that permanently, and for all hair to make it natural? It is, But it'd be painful because it'll be rewriting some of your genetic profile. What are you thinking? Kurama replied. I'm thinking black, maybe with red tips. The blonde replied. That's possible to do, but I'm not sure if I can get it done within the 2 days. I'd have to focus my chakra on the transformation completely. It'd affect your chakra control a lot since you've grown used to mine in your system full time. I'd recommend going back to the docks before you attempt water walking again. The Nine-Tails said with a little concern. 2 days with a good portion of chakra being cut off was very risky, especially if his host was attacked in the meantime. Naruto nodded and did as his partner suggested. All right, go for it, he said determinedly. And with that, he felt weak on top of excruciating pain. But he didn't scream, he did his best to endure the pain. He knew that he'd make his gracious host worry about him. Damn, I think I'll just go lay down and try to think up an alias, he thought to himself and limped inside avoiding Tsunami so as not to worry her. Later that night, when Naruto didn't come back for dinner, the single mother got worried and decided to check his room, only to find him sleeping with a face that displayed pain. He must have pushed himself too much, and didn't want to worry us. She thought and decided to leave him be. A day and a half later, the night before Jiraiya, the Anbu and Naruto's family were to arrive, Naruto woke up, groaning in pain. Damn, that hurt. Was it successful, Kurama? Yes, but it took its toll on my chakra. I'm going to sleep to recover it. We should be back to normal in a couple of days, said an exhausted Kurama, who promptly went to sleep not waiting for a response from his partner. Naruto just mentally nodded and made his way to the mirror to see that the transformation was indeed successful. However, he saw that his normal blue eyes now had fox-like irises instead of his normal human round irises. Damn fox, must be a side effect. I'll ask him when he walks up. He makes his way downstairs, wanting food before going to shower for tomorrow, seeing the whole family at the table. Naruto, what happened to you? Tsunami got up from her seat and ran to him, seeing his hair and eyes have changed. Oh, well, I told you the last time I was here that I had the fox inside me, right? He said, kinda nervous, talking about his partner, even if they accepted him as him, not the fox. He got nods from them. Well, I asked him to change my hair color, but I'm guessing that my irises changed as a side effect of him using chakra for the permanent change. But won't this give you away? Normal humans don't have fox, cat-like irises, Tazuna said, concerned. It might, but who knows if this is permanent or not. I'll just have to buy some tinted goggles or sunglasses until Furball wakes up, he said with a sigh, knowing their concern. Hell, he had them too, but he didn't have time to worry about it. How long have I been out? Your family is scheduled to be here tomorrow sometime, Tsunami answered, getting a nod from her former blonde guest. Guess I need to think of an alias quickly then, the now Blackett replied. Actually, Father and I have been talking about that, and I always decided that if I had another son, that I'd name him Takumi, and since I'm no longer able to have kids due to an accident shortly after Inari was born, I thought that the name would be useful to you, even if this Tuki adopts you officially, she said with a sad smile. She kinda wanted to adopt him herself, but she knew that he loved the ramen chief and his daughter as family and they deserved the chance to do so before she brought it up herself. They took care of him after all. Everyone looked at Tsunami with a comforting gaze, especially Naruto, having heard the sad tone she used. Naruto got up and placed a comforting hand on her shoulder, causing her to look up at him as he said, I'd be honored to use that name. Thank you, Tsunami. The single mother nodded with teary eyes, muttering you're welcome, before getting up to start supper. Naruto in the meantime thought he should let Jiraiya, Tuki, and Ayame know of his new name and decided to go up to his room, not before getting stopped by Tazuna. Hey kid, before you disappear on us, I just wanted to let you know that the house shop will be finished in about a month. Cool. Thanks, you old drunk, Naruto said teasingly, earning a muttered, damn brat, and a chuckle from Inari. Once in his room, he summoned Gamakichi. Yo, it's been a while Naruto, we hear you left the leaf. You should know that Pops isn't happy to hear that, you should summon him soon to explain everything. Yeah, I figured, I would have summoned him earlier but I was out of it for the last day and a half. But never mind that for now. I have a favor to ask, can you deliver a message to Jiraiya for me? I don't know how to summon different toads besides you, Gamatatsu, and Chief Toad, so I'm kinda stuck. He said, kinda worried about the Chief Toad being mad at him and hoped he wouldn't lose the Toad contract. They were a huge part of his life even indirectly. Especially since they were the only links he had to his father he had. The Orange Toad sighed. Alright, but this will cost you big. Better have a big bag of sweets waiting for me the next time we see each other. You got it, thanks a lot. Tell the chief that I'll summon him the day after tomorrow. I have a feeling tomorrow is gonna be. Oh, and please don't mention my name, he's traveling with an Anbu and I don't want that headache just yet. Naruto said with his megawatt smile, handing him the message. Yeah, sure, but what do I call you from now since I'm assuming you took an alias? The Orange Toad asked. I'll be going by Takumi from now on. The former blonde replied. Alright, I'll inform Pops. But you better keep your word, the longer you wait, the worse it's likely gonna be. Gamakichi. Naruto sighed, man, I should have told the chief while training the other day, just hope he'll understand. Then went back downstairs for supper. With Jiraiya. Just as everyone was gonna settle in for the night while Yugao offered to take the first watch, while Jiraiya would take the second, Gamakichi poofed next to all of them, causing Ayame and Tuki to jump and Yugao to draw her sword in a defensive manner, which causes the old pervert to signal her to stand down and address the small toad. Gamakichi, I assume my student sent you. Yeah, he asked me to deliver a message and to let you know. He now has black hair with red tips, just so you aren't startled when you see him. Said Toad replied, handing the scroll to Jiraiya, getting a nod and a thank you from the sage before dispelling to tell his father what Naruto said. What's it say? Ayame asked eagerly. Calm down Ayame, I'm eager myself but we need to remain calm. Tuki said. Jiraiya chuckled slightly and opened the scroll, reading it before handing it to Ayame and her father, who read it and nodded before handing it back to the eldest traveling companion who promptly destroyed it. Sorry Yugao, but you'll learn everything when we meet him tomorrow, that is if he wants to tell you. He said, looking at the curious Anbu. What is this kid hiding? She asked herself while nodding at the Toad Hermit. Alright, let's turn in. We'll be there tomorrow around noon if we leave at daybreak, so get some rest you too. Jiraiya said, getting a nod from the excited family, knowing they likely wouldn't get any sleep due to just how excited they were to see their favorite knucklehead tomorrow. The next day, noon. We find the traveling company arrives at the house that was described by Kakashi. Well, this is it, you ready? Jiraiya asked them only for Ayame already knocking on the door. I swear the girl loves Naruto more than a sister at times. Tuki and Jiraiya thought at the same time. Hello, Tsunami asked as she opened the door. Oh, you must be the ones that Takumi has been expecting, and you must be Ayame, Tuki, and pervy sage that he keeps talking about. She giggled into her hand at the nickname Naruto gives to the Sannin, who fell to the floor in an anime fashion. The others also shared a laugh at Jiraiya's expense. But honestly, it's nice to meet you Jiraiya, and you must the swordmaster that he mentioned was coming. She said, addressing the purple-haired woman with the group. Yes, though I'm far from being a master of the sword, there are others far better than myself. I'm Yugao Azuki, the purple-haired Anbu said. It's very nice to meet you. You must be Tsunami. Thank you for taking in our friend. Ayame said with a bow. Is he here now? She asked eagerly. By this point Jiraiya was standing upright, having muttered something along the lines of, disrespectful brats, before addressing the attractive mother. Yes, thank you for taking care of him. Oh, it's no trouble at all. And to answer your question Ayame, Yes, he's in the living room eagerly awaiting your arrival. Tsunami said, leading them inside. Ayame. Tsuki. The now named Takumi called as he tackled his surrogate sister into a hug. Hello, Na Takumi. Tsuki said, catching himself, having a hard time with the alias in front of the Anbu with how happy he was to see his surrogate son and best customer. Ayame was sobbing as she held onto her surrogate brother, holding on to him for dear life like she's been yearning to do since she learned everything. Miss Azuki, why don't we let them have time to catch up? I'll show you to the room we prepared for you. You can introduce yourself later tonight. The single mother said, both sensing the mood and knowing that some sensitive information was bound to say that she was sure the rest of her guests didn't want to be heard by anyone else just yet. Yugao also sensed this and nodding, following the lady of the house. Once they were upstairs, Ayame let go reluctantly. It's good to see you, Naruto. We have been worried about you. She asked. It's really good to you guys as well. I was surprised you left the village though. Naruto said with a smile. Tsuki took this chance to tell Naruto why they left, leaving the former blonde shocked. You knew, was all he asked. Not for certain, but I knew you had a connection to Minato and Kushina. After all, you were practically a carbon copy of Minato with some of Kushina's features, not to mention her appetite for ramen. Tsuki said, a little worried that Naruto would hate him like everyone else who kept his parents' identity from him. Naruto lowered his eyes behind his bangs, thinking about this revelation causing everyone else to get nervous. Well, that doesn't matter. You took care of me, fed me when no one else would. For that you have my eternal gratitude, old man. Naruto said with the usual smile, relieving Ayame and her father. It's the least we could do, you knucklehead. Even if you weren't their son, I wasn't gonna let you starve for something that is out of your control. In fact, me and Ayame see you as a hero, even if you have befriended the fox. The old ramen chief said with a smile and with nodding from a still tearful Ayame. Now, here is everything that you asked for, Jiraiya said, wanting to get down to business, taking the medium-sized scroll off his back. Naruto nodded and opened it, releasing the contents. Which scrolls contain what? He asked, putting up his mother's sword carefully and held it gently but close to himself. I'll take care of this, blade mom. The small scroll on top is their wills, which also contains details on how to access their fortune. I'm sorry I had to open it so I could tell where it was, since it was one of the things you asked for. As for the training scrolls, they are in the larger scroll and all labeled by your father. That blade in your hands, however, is famous. Yugao will likely immediately recognize it, so be careful. The sage said sternly, getting a serious nod from his student. I'm not hiding her. She hasn't seen the light of day in who knows how long. Besides, if I'm correct, she was one of the Anbu on my guard detail. However, I'm not sure if she can be trusted. We will see if she can be after we see her reaction to this sword. Naruto said with determination. Everyone nodded. It was his choice after all whether or not to trust the off-duty Anbu. Now Jiraiya, before anything else, tell me, why did the council tell you to look for this Tsunade and not the third? Everyone winced at that question. They knew it was coming and knew how he'd likely react. Ayame was ready to comfort him. Jiraiya took a deep breath. Hiruzen Sarutobi was killed in the line of combat, killed by my other teammate, Orochimaru, during the invasion. Reports say that he fought against a reanimated first and second Hokage, but managed to defeat them and sealed Orochimaru's arms away in the Shinigami's stomach. It's the very same seal containing the fox inside you, Naruto. Jiraiya explained. Naruto was shell-shocked. The old man died, in battle, saving the village. He was torn, he was devastated, but he was also proud that he died protecting the village, dealing a critical wound to the pedophile. He didn't even feel Ayame wrapping her arms around him trying to comfort him. He didn't know how to react to this. Jiraiya could see this and decide to keep quiet about the rest of the information he had to tell Naruto until tomorrow, knowing keeping such info from him wouldn't help his chances at redemption. Tsuki too saw the confliction within his surrogate son's face, hoping he'd be alright, while Ayame held onto him closely. Thank you for telling me. I need some time to myself. I'm going to the forest, please don't follow me. Naruto said, his voice devoid of emotion, scaring everyone but knew he needed time to sort through his thoughts and emotions, as he got up and left the house. At this time, hearing the open and close, Tsunami came downstairs with Yugao. Where's Takumi? She asked, looking around her living room. He learned something that shook him up pretty bad, just it did the rest of the village. Jiraiya said solemnly. Yugao nodded, knowing what that was, the death of the third. This Takumi must have been close to him to be shaken up, but that confused her. The only ones she knew that were close to him were his grandson, his son, and Naruto, who was supposed to be dead. However, she was sensor type. This Takumi had a near-identical chakra signature to the blonde prankster she guarded. But it can't be him. Jiraiya said that he died in his house, that only a scrap of his orange jumpsuit remained. Yugao thought. Then she remembered the reports of Naruto visiting the Hokage before the invasion kicked off. Could he have finally had enough and left the village? If so, I'm in a very awkward position. As Anbu, I would have to bring him back, and that would cause trouble for Jiraiya and Kakashi, my former captain. However, I'm off duty right now, and I never did agree with the third's decision. Kushina was good to me. To say that she was conflicted was putting it mildly, but decided to confront him after he's calmed down and listened to his reasons for leaving. In the forest. He was in the forest where he met Haku for the first time. Thinking about the ice ninja put a sad smile on his confused face, remembering what he learned from him. If you have something precious to protect, I believe that's when you will be truly powerful. Naruto held those words dear, but now he renounced most of what he used to consider precious. All he has now is Iruka, who he couldn't see anymore without getting the attention of the village, Tsunami and her family, Tsuki, Ayame, and Jiraiya, providing he redeemed himself for his neglect. However, he threw away his lifelong dream and now he didn't know what to do. He knew he'd never go back to the Leaf. He couldn't without raising the curiosity of the village. It's bad enough that an Anbu was here and was likely already curious about him being so close to the Ichirakus, but he couldn't worry about that. He still didn't know how he felt about the news of the old man's death. Despite withholding information that he had requested on a monthly basis, and about Kurama being sealed in his gut. If he had such info, he could have requested training at an early age to be able to defend himself against the dangers that information would bring if it got out, especially his parents. He knew that the Stone and Cloud would likely try to kidnap and/or kill him. Despite what people thought, he did pay attention in history class. Even if he prevented not to and found it boring, he knew of his father's exploits and the enemies he earned as a result. Naruto wouldn't have resented him had he come clean right away. With how the village beat and tortured him frequently, he had to grow up quickly. While his dream was genuine, his pranks and cheerful attitude were a mask to keep him giving into despair and anger. However, he still loved the old man. Hearing he died shortly after their encounter, the last things he said to him would haunt him for a while. He felt a stinging in his eyes, his tears welling his eyes. Why, old man, why did you have to die? His thoughts then darkened. Orochimaru, I swear I will kill you one day, even if it takes years to achieve the strength required to do so. He swore to himself. Easy kid, you're starting to sound like your former teammate, the Uchiha. Don't lose yourself in revenge and hatred. You are better than that. You were able to help me overcome my own hatred, even if I haven't let go of it. Kurama warned him. Before they befriended each other, the old fox would have pushed his host to go down the path of darkness, but now he wanted to protect what light he had left within him. Don't compare me to the duck butt head. I know that nothing good will come from vengeance, but I cannot forgive Orochimaru. He killed the old man. He is slowly tainting Sasuke with that damned hickey on his neck. And you know as well as I do, he's guilty of far more than just those crimes. Naruto spat at his partner. While that may be true, just be careful. I know for a fact your mother wouldn't want you to go down the dark path of life. The fox said, ashamed he was using Kushina to attempt to quell his anger. Naruto growls. Watch it, fox. Don't use my mother like that. I've already likely disappointed her by leaving the village out of anger. However, you're right, but I want you to tell me everything you know about her later. Kurama sighs and nods. He was going to do so once he had calmed down and was thinking clearly. He knew Naruto was still angry about the information of his parents being withheld from him and confused about how to feel about the old monkey's death. Naruto sighed and apologized to Kurama. He knew he was out of line, and Kurama apologized for using Kushina against him like he did while making his way to the house, exhausted from today's events. When he arrived, Ayame was quick to run and comfort him. Jiraiya asked if he was alright, getting a negative shake of Blacket's head, only for him to excuse himself and headed to his room to take a nap. 2 days later, after grieving and locking himself away, only coming out to eat, Naruto makes his way downstairs and sits with his hosts, his surrogate family, Jiraiya, and Yugao. You alright, Takumi? Tsunami and Ayame asked at the same time. Yeah, I'm fine now. Sorry for worrying you, Naruto replied. Sorry that we've held off introductions for so long, ma'am. I'm Takumi. He said, addressing Yugao. I'm Yugao Azuki. I hear you are in need of a Kenjutsu teacher. She asked. That's right. I recently acquired a sword and want to honor my mother's legacy by making good use out of it. He said with admiration and determination. That's very noble of you, but where is this sword? I'd like to inspect the weapon you indeed on using. The Anbu asked, trying to confirm her suspicions if this Takumi was really Naruto. I'm sorry, I can't do that, not here. He said, seeing the perplexed narrow her eyes as if asking why not. I'll show you after I pay my respects to 2 people who taught me an invaluable lesson. If you wish to accompany me, that's fine, that goes for anyone else who wishes to come, but if you come, I expect the old pervert there to accompany you. He finished pointing at Jiraiya, grumbled about disrespecting brats but agreed to go with him, curious to see who it was he was talking about. He went upstairs to grab the scroll that contained his sword, and left the house, with Jiraiya, Ayame, and Yugao following close by. Tsunami, her family, and Tuki decided to stay behind and prepare dinner for everyone when they got back. An hour later they made it to the makeshift graves. Yugao instantly recognized the sword that marked one grave. That's the executioner's blade, Yugao said with wonder, earning a solemn nod from Naruto. That's right, Zabuza Momochi is buried here, as does a dear friend, his apprentice, Haku, he said with tears in his eyes. You said they taught you an invaluable lesson, what was it? Jiraiya asked in a quiet tone. If you have something precious to protect, I believe that's when you will be truly powerful. Naruto quoted Haku, still holding back his tears. Yugao deciding now, despite his emotional state, to confront the Blackett mystery in front of her. Takumi, how is it that you know these 2, Lord Third, Jiraiya here, the Ichirakus, and the bridge builder family? The only one I know that I'm aware has connections to all of them, is a shinobi pronounced dead from the leaf. Naruto dried his tears and looked back at her with eyes filled with determination, knowing she'd question the connections. I think that will be made clear once you see the sword I mentioned earlier, he replied as he pulled out the sealing scroll with his mother's sword. Are you sure about this, brat? You're taking a gamble doing this. Jiraiya said with concern and warning. She's already suspicious, pervy sage. And I promised to show her regardless, especially since she came out this way to potentially teach me Kenjutsu. You know I keep my word. The Jinchuriki said, unsealing his mother's famous red death blade. That sword, the off-duty Anbu said, dropping to her knees as the memories of her idol came back to her. Then she turned to glare at the Sannin. You said he was dead. Jiraiya was confused as to why she was mad, as was Naruto, but spoke one of his questions. Why are you so emotional? Sure, you were one of the Anbu who guarded me, but that doesn't warrant you getting emotional over seeing this sword. Not unless you knew my mother. She looked at the blanket and nodding. I did know Kushina. Kakashi and I were assigned to watch over her while she was pregnant with you, and then I was assigned to guard you, but was never allowed to interact with you, as my job is to stay within the shadows. But seeing Naruto's expression darken, guessing as to why he left now. I never approved nor agreed with Lord Third keeping your parents' identity from you. But I was unable to tell you, as much as I wish I was able to. She added to try to quell his possible anger. Naruto nodding, understanding her inability to interact with him and therefore unable to tell him about his parents without risking her career. So what are you going to do? Are you going to try to take me back to the Leaf, discrediting the old pervert here? Or stay here for the remainder of your leave and teach me Kenjutsu? He asked the obvious question. Yugao thought for a second. Before I make that decision, may I ask why you left? Trying to confirm her suspicions only for Jiraiya to step up and hand her the letter Naruto left in his apartment. As she looked over it, she had varied emotions running through her, confusion at who told him, anger at the people who pushed him to leave, at the people who had ample time to tell him, especially Kakashi, who was Lord Fourth's student, and sympathy for the young man in front of her, and conflicted with her duties as Anbu and her desire to help him. Lady Kushina would want me to help her son. I looked up to her. She was my inspiration for taking up the sword, but doing this would be going against the village. Hayate, what would you do? Jiraiya and Naruto just waited for her to make her decision. Jiraiya ready to defend his godson, Naruto seeing her conflicting emotions, confident she'll side with him. After a few minutes, Yugao looked up from her thoughts. Very well. I'll stay and teach you. Lady Kushina and my late fiancé would have wanted me to teach you. Your mother was the reason I took up the sword, and my late fiancé, Hayate, would have wanted me to pass what I know. She said with determination. That choice alone has placed you in my good books. Thank you, Yugao-sensei. Naruto said with a slight bow. However, please keep referring to me as Takumi in public. It would cause trouble not only for me but you, Pervy Sage, Kakashi, and the people of Wave for aiding me. He added, getting a nod from the off-duty Anbu, understanding what he said. Let's head back to the house. It's about time for lunch, and from what I know about the Ichirakus and that woman Tsunami, they'll get worried about Naruto if we don't make it back in time. The perverted sage said, earning a chuckle from the other two. At the house over lunch, Jiraiya decides to open up to Naruto, seeing him in a good mood, not a masked one, and since they were in trusted company, he could be completely honest. He only hoped that he wouldn't be torn to pieces since everyone there was fond of the brat. Naruto, I need to tell you some things before we start our training. He said, getting curious looks from everyone. What is it, you old pervert? The Jinchuriki asked, only getting a light swat upside the head from Ayame, with her saying, don't be so rude. What about to tell you is very important about being my apprentice. He said, ignoring the comment, insult more, paying attention to the looks he was getting, but continued. Have you heard of the village of Nadeshiko? He asked. Yugao looked surprised. You mean that all-female shinobi village? Don't tell me you tried to do your research there, got caught, and the consequences have been passed on to Naruto. The toad sage was sweating now. She hit the nail on the head for the most part, while Naruto just sighed. Alright, even if that is the case, what are the details? The former blonde groaned. Jiraiya slumped, knowing he'd have to give full details. Technically, the first thing you should know, Naruto, is that Yugao is right, it is an all-female village, and yes, I did get caught. However, instead of the usual pummeling, the village leader at the time challenged me to a duel for my hand in marriage, as per their law that states that must seek out strong male opponents, and should they be defeated, they are to wed that man. We fought for the full day, neither one of us making any headway, so I called for our match to be postponed. She reluctantly agreed, and I promised that our students instead should one day seek each other out and fight if the two of us never met again. Sadly, I received word that she passed away a few years ago. Jiraiya paused for a moment to compose himself, and everyone seemed entranced by the tale, but were able to figure what this meant, waited for the Toad Sage to confirm it, which he did. As you may have surmised by now, that promise falls to you, Naruto, and the current head of Nadeshiko village, who is likely around your age. You have got to be kidding me, Naruto says in disbelief. You get caught peeping, get into a duel for marriage against a village leader, leave her hanging for who knows how many years, probably never intending to go back and uphold your end of the promise, and now that I'm your apprentice, I have to either seek out her student, who is the village leader, or wait for her to find me and uphold this inherited promise. Jiraiya looked away ashamed. Firstly, you're wrong. I did have every intention of going back, but war broke out, then my teammate and best friend at the time, Orochimaru, defected from the Leaf, and I've been trailing him and another organization that I didn't have the time to return and uphold the promise. Secondly, I hadn't told Minato because it was still wartime, and he was already interested in Kushina, if not already in love, and I wasn't going to interfere in his romantic life. If had you wouldn't be here right now. Okay, I get it. Do you at least know the name of the current leader and my destined opponent? Naruto said defeatedly. He wasn't happy that he had to clean up this old pervert's mess, and really all he had to do to get out of it was to stop being his student. However, the Jinchuruki knew that he needed his godfather's help in learning his mother's and father's jutsus, so he was stuck. Well, at least he seems to have cared for his opponent. I just hope that whoever her student is doesn't hate me because of this agreement. He thought, knowing that if he was displeased with this agreement, there was a high chance that this girl would probably be furious, going off what he knows about women. Granted, he had to admit that he didn't exactly have the best examples, a whole class of fangirls, and a psychotic special Jonin. Unfortunately, I don't. I do, however, suggest that we train you up hard. That village may be populated mostly by women, but they are very strong and take their training and duties seriously. I was in my prime when I fought her and she was able to keep up and match me. Jiraiya said in a rare serious tone. Fine, but first I think you said you have something else to explain, the reason you didn't finish your fight. Naruto said despondently. Yes, at a young age, when I first met the Toads, they gave me a prophecy, that I would travel the lands, writing books, find and teach the child of prophecy, one who would either bring everlasting peace, or complete destruction to our world. That is why I couldn't stay. And so far none of the students I've taught have survived long enough, so I am hoping you do, the Toad Sage responded. The former blonde narrowed his eyes. My father wasn't your only student. No, there was a group of war orphans in the Land of Rain, during the last war. But there was one among them was a boy, with scarlet red hair, and purple eyes with a ripple pattern. They were a legendary dojutsu, the Rinnegan, which were said to be lost to us when the Sage of Six Paths died thousands of years ago. But the kid's name was Nagato, the other two were Konan, a blue-haired, orange-eyed girl that learned to control origami with her chakra, and a boy that was just as loud and boisterous as you were with that mask of yours on, named Yahiko. I thought Nagato would be the child of prophecy, but it was wartime, and he and his friends were killed in a skirmish against the Rain's leader, Hanzo of the Salamander. They were the only students I had before your father. Jiraiya explained. I see. So, Nagato died in the war, and my father died sealing the fox into me, not the best track record, pervy sage. Naruto said dryly. Naruto. Ayame yelled at her surrogate brother. That was very rude. It's all right, he's right. However, I think you can surpass both of them, despite not having the Rinnegan, Naruto. I will teach you everything I know. The perverted sage said. You mean provided I don't lose the Toad contract for leaving the Leaf? The Blackett chided. They shouldn't, but we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. For now, I think you should go and give Gamabunta a call. You did say you'd call him before you learned about the sensei's death. Jiraiya reminded, earning a groan from his pupil. I'll be back eventually, assuming Chief Toad doesn't kill me. Naruto said nonchalantly. Forest outside village. Naruto took a breath, knew this wasn't go over well. Well, let's get this over with, as he bites his thumb to draw blood, going through the signs and slamming his hand to the ground using Kurama's chakra to summon the chief. Summoning jutsu. He cried out, quickly pulling out a scroll that contains a bottle of sake he received as a gift, knowing that would be an attempt to appease the boss of the Toads. It's about time you summoned me, you're a late brat. Gamabunta said, taking a drag from his pipe. Naruto bowed down and unsealed the sake. I know, I'm sorry, Chief. I received some news that left me lost for a few days. I should have let you know or had Pervy Sage send a messenger frog. The giant frog nodded. Well, if this news is the death of Hiruzen, then I understand. However, you are right, you should have let us know. Now, are you ready to tell me why you've left the village? He said sternly. Yes, Chief, and for being late I have this bottle of sake for you. Naruto offered up the large bottle to him but small for the boss of the Toads. Bunta took the bottle with a nod, and the former Leaf Ninja explained everything, from the way he was treated to the secrets that were kept from him despite him asking monthly, even his inherited promise, which didn't have anything to do with him leaving but he felt frustrated by and it just came out. Needless to say that the Chief Toad understood, and to say he was upset was an understatement. I knew Jiraiya should have told you. I will speak to him, especially since he has something that will help you with the fox. He said in a too calm a voice that promised pain for the pervert. This caught the Jinchuriki attention and asked politely, what do you mean, Chief? The key to your seal left to Jiraiya for when you were ready for it, but if you've befriended the fox, I'd say you're ready. Gamabunta smiles, seeing the young man in front of him beam at that information and replying with a big, thank you, which made him smile even more and dispelled himself to reverse summon Jiraiya to give him a beat down. Seeing the giant summon dispel, Naruto let out a sigh of relief. Judging from what was said, he was allowed to continue summoning the Toads, which was a great relief to him. He felt everything would be alright, aside from worrying about when this Kunoichi would show up and challenge him. With everything sorted, he went back to the house to relax for the rest of the day.